All right, let's talk about something you've probably felt. You know when a digital product, an app, a website, whatever, it just gets slower, buggier, more frustrating over time? And it seems like no matter how much work people put into it, it just gets worse. Well, there's often this hidden force, kind of sabotaging the whole thing from the inside. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that culprit, the compounding cost of technical debt.
I mean, we've all said it, right? We'll fix it later. It sounds so harmless. It even feels like a smart move at the time, you know? A way to hit a deadline, keep the project moving forward. But that little phrase, it comes with a price tag. And it's a price that almost nobody talks about when they make that call. So what is the true cost of kicking that can down the road? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so to really get this, you've got to think about every problem on a timeline. See, it's not just a static thing. It has a birth, a life, and, well, an endgame. And it's during that life, on that timeline, that a tiny, almost invisible little issue can quietly grow into an absolute monster, a system-wide crisis.
So at its core, this whole thing is what we call technical debt. And let's be real about why it happens. It's pressure, right? Pressure to ship, to hit that deadline, to launch that shiny new feature. So teams make a trade. The best way to think about it is like a credit card, but for your code. You swipe it to take an easy shortcut now to get what you want today. But you know you're going to have to pay that bill later, and it comes with interest. The thing is, right at the start, the debt is small, the bill is tiny, and the interest, barely noticeable.
And here's the scary part. The life cycle of just one of those will fix it later decisions. So at launch, it's just a tiny hairline crack. You can barely even see it. It's super easy to ignore. But fast forward 6 months, and that crack? Oh, it's not on the surface anymore. New features have been built right on top of it. It's become part of the foundation, all tangled up in the system's logic. Now, jump ahead 2 years. That once tiny flaw is causing massive system crashes. It's creating chaos. It didn't just get bigger. It basically infected everything it touched.
And this is the endgame. This is where the bill comes due. And believe me, the payment is brutal. We're talking about massive code surgery, what developers call refactoring. You're not just fixing the original little problem, you're operating on dozens of connected parts. Or worse, you have to literally throw away entire features and rewrite them from scratch because they were built on that shaky, cracked foundation. And in the most extreme cases, you're rebuilding the core infrastructure, the actual skeleton of your system, just to keep the whole thing from collapsing.
So this really brings us to the absolute heart of the issue. Look, having flaws or bugs, that's not the real problem. That's going to happen, it's inevitable in any complex project. The real variable, the one thing that separates a successful system from a failing one, isn't if you fix your problems. It's when.
And this chart, wow, this really lays out the brutal truth, doesn't it? The cost of waiting isn't a straight line. It's not linear, it's exponential. An early fix, it's cheap, a tiny bit of effort. But waiting? Look at that massive jump. We're not talking about it costing twice as much or 3 times as much. No way. We're talking orders of magnitude more. Every single day you wait, you are making an active choice to multiply the pain and effort required later on.
So what this all means is you're standing at a fork in the road with 2 very different paths. Path 1, act early. That's a strategic move. You're actively deciding to slash future costs, keep things simple, and get rid of risk. Path 2, delay. That's also a choice. It's a choice to let that debt compound, to let that interest on your code credit card pile up until the bill is just unpayable.
Okay, so how do we escape this trap, this downward spiral? Well, it's not about working harder. It's about thinking differently. It takes a fundamental shift in your mindset. So let's dive into this proactive mindset that separates the really, truly great teams from everyone else who's just treading water.
And this right here, this is the key to the whole thing. See, most teams live in firefighter mode. They're totally reactive, just running from one 5-alarm fire to the next, constantly putting out emergencies. But the really experienced teams, they operate on a completely different level. They're not waiting for the alarm to go off. They're acting more like fire inspectors, actively looking for the bad wiring or the oily rags that are going to cause the fire in the first place.
So what they're doing is what you could call a strategic scan. And this isn't some big meeting they have once a quarter. No, it's a constant state of being. They're always on the lookout, listening for the faintest whispers of trouble. They know their systems inside and out, so they can spot the weak points, the places where things are likely to break. And, this is the really crucial part, they're skilled at finding those hidden risks that haven't even started causing problems yet. They're not going to wait for a system-wide crash to tell them something's wrong.
All right, this all leads us to our final and honestly, most powerful idea. It's about completely reframing how we approach building things. It's about shifting our whole culture away from just fixing things when they break and moving towards a culture of preventing them from breaking in the first place.
And look, in a world of crazy deadlines and not enough resources, it is so easy to see prevention as a luxury, a nice to have that you'll get to someday, something you just can't afford right now. But that thinking, it's a dangerous and incredibly costly illusion.
Because prevention is not some line item on a budget that you can just cut when things get tight. It is the core strategy. It's how you build things that are meant to last. It is the fundamental difference between building a system that gets more fragile and more expensive every single day and building one that stays strong, adaptable, and valuable for years and years.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question. As you go about your day, think about your own projects. What is that one small problem, that tiny flaw, that we'll fix it later item that you're choosing to ignore today? Because now you know its true cost is already growing. So choose wisely.